So, welcome back to the Rethink Sales Show. My name is Derek Kelly, and I'm so excited to be joined again by Jim Shorkey. Jim, it's been nearly a year since we've chatted, not in person, but on this platform with our Results from Thinking crew, with those who have been through Rethink You, those who are focused on rethinking themselves and changing the way they think to get the results they want. And so, for many people, I did a video in early January, just that you had a stroke. And I remember calling you that Monday, and you always call me back, right? If I call you on Monday, you're usually a pretty quick responder. And then I called you Wednesday, and Jim didn't call me back, right? And then I called you Friday, and you called me from the hospital, said I had a really bad stroke. A lot of people have heard that you've had a stroke, but how's the recovery process going? I have lots of follow-up questions, but how is that process?
It's going very well. It's a project, as I'm sure you can imagine, but it's to me it's very interesting, and it's very similar to how do I get to be successful at anything. Rethink You is all about being successful at something that you choose to be successful at, but maybe you're just not quite where you want to be relative to that success for that thing. And so Rethink You is a training program to help you get from point A to point B, or from point B to point Z, whatever that would be. So for me right now, I had a stroke. I had a very serious stroke. I had a hemorrhagic stroke, 3 brain bleeds, and it was a really bad situation. Shoulda, coulda, woulda died. And so I have to work very, very hard on recovering. And I'm using Rethink You as part of my recovery process. To be clear, when I was in the automobile business, I used Rethink You to create the Jim Shorkey Family Auto Group. That's exactly what I did. And it's a very complicated process, but it's also a very simple process. And the essence of it is number one, to figure out what it is that I, as a citizen, want to do. What do I want to do? And then the second part, and I got to get very clear and very specific about that. That's right out of Napoleon Hill's great book, Think and Grow Rich. So what is it that I want to do? That's a really important ingredient to me recovering from the stroke. Number one. Number two is why. What's my reason why? Why do I want to recover? Why do I want to have a successful recovery? Why do I want to hit 100% versus where I'm at right now, which is about 90%? So why do I want to do that? Does my reason why make me cry? And I don't mean really so much like a physical breakdown crying, but does it make me emotional? Does it make me passionate? Why do I want to recover? So I have to come up with reasons why, which I have. And then from there, once I have my goal is 100% recovery and my reasons why that make me cry, now I have to seek expert counsel. At least this, I shouldn't say have to, but this is in my mind. I seek expert counsel, find somebody who has been through what I've been through, somebody who has studied and trained in stroke recovery. And so I've bought books, I've watched YouTube videos, and I actually have different doctors, medical doctors, and my physical therapist was here today. Actually, Derek, you just missed, Mark was here, and we did our physical therapy, or I did my physical therapy today. And so I'm doing these different modalities to help me to recover, involving physical movement, diet, thinking, reading, puzzles, whatever the case may be. And I'm having incredible progress. I would say right now I'm at 90%. And even in my mind about that, like it's, I have a goal of 100%, but if I can't get any further than what I am right now, 90% is a pretty darn good number compared to where I was. As an example, so my surgery that I had done was March 6th. So let's just say 2 weeks after that, March 20th, I was walking with a walker. I had to have a walker.
Wow.
And even at that, it was like 5 minutes. I got to lay down. I'm tired. I got to lay down, take a nap, Well, now I'm walking 4 or 5 miles at a shot, and I can do it. And it's like amazing. So I'm making incredible progress. But I got to say, not that I want anybody out there to have a stroke. I certainly don't. But when life hands you a certain kind of a circumstance, there are ways to handle that circumstance in a fashion that proves out to be very, very munificent, if I could use that word, very munificent. And I'm making great progress, but it's because I'm using Rethink You to do this, if that makes sense. Long answer to a short question.
Yeah, it's a really good answer because it really just considers, okay, you were on this journey. I remember calling you, you could barely put sentences together. But as I talked to you more and more and more from January into February into March into April into May, you just seem more and more the Jim Shorkey that I know and love. And I was just like, okay, Jim is making it through. I remember, talking to your wife, her telling me, man, he probably should not have made it. But you're here.
No,
So how does that change? We talk a lot about 122, healthy, happy, you know, relaxing years. Has that changed that goal at all?
no, absolutely not. And I was talking to a good friend of mine the other day about 122, and so my goal is 122. It's been done. It's been done, and so I said to my good friend, I said, "Well, can't I at least try? Can't I at least try? Why do I need to sit here and say, well, that 122, geez, Jim, you had a stroke, you have some impairment, you have this, you have that. I have really bad neuropathy in my right leg, and geez, are you sure that still is something you should be thinking about?" And I say, absolutely, it is, because can't I at least try? Is the fact that I had a stroke going to impact on that 122? Yeah, I suspect it probably is. It wasn't a good thing. It's not going to lead me where I want to go. But at the same time, can't I at least try? So, speaking of expert counsel, I was just the other day watching a really neat video series about the blue zones. And the blue zones are areas on the planet that have the highest concentration of centenarians of any other part of the world. And they've identified these areas, and then the guy's name is Dan Buettner, and they went and interviewed the people to see what are they doing. They had like they're called blue zones, and there's the things that they do. There's some commonality amongst all these different blue zones about what they're doing. I am doing those things as part of my stroke recovery process. I am doing those things. So, absolutely not. 122 is the goal. Does that mean I live to be 122? Well, of course it doesn't mean that. It doesn't. But can't I at least try? Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I think you did a good job just talking about how, again, something we teach in Rethink You is seek expert counsel, right? Just seeking expert
Yep.
counsel of what it means to recover from a stroke. But not only you have a reason why, right? You're not just saying, oh, my goal is to recover from the stroke. Well, then if you recovered in 18 months, then what's after that? You know that your goal is 122, right? And so you have a bigger picture in mind that you're moving towards. And often people say, well, this is the thing I'm facing. This is what I'm trying to tackle. But we try to get them to think above that. Where do you want to go? Who do you want to
Yeah.
become? Right? What is your goal? What is your life goal at the end? What's your reason why? Usually ask why 7, 8, 9 times to really get to the heart of the why. And that's why we're talking today on this format on this podcast, is to help people
Yeah.
give hope. I remember we talked about, Jim, now that you've had the stroke and now that you're recovered, what is one thing you wanted to change or improve in the program we made? And you said, I want to help people find hope.
Well, look at my eyes. What do you see?
Hope, inspiration.
Well, can you see the emotion? I'm having a hard time here.
Yeah.
So I have this glassy eyed thing
Yeah.
going on. It's emotion. And does your
Mhm.
reason why make you cry? And so I do this thing called porch visits. It's something I coined.
Mhm.
So somebody will say to me, "Geez, Jim, could we sit down and have a conversation sometime?" Speaking of emotion, I just got a major chill in my body, major chill, major chill. And so, what is a porch visit? I tell whomever. Actually, was a guy here the other day doing some yard work for Amy, and I said, "Well, geez, if you ever want to sit down and talk, I'll be happy to do that for you." And the guy actually started to kind of get very emotional, almost borderline crying. He said, "You would do that for me?" I said, "Of course I would do that for you." He said, "Why? Why would you do that?" I said, "Well, when I was coming up and trying to figure it out and was, really, just doing horribly, I had people that helped me, people that gave me great information, great advice. And that's the expert counsel. And so I used that information and I turned it around from where I was bankruptcy imminent at the time. And then from there became the Jim Shorkey Family Auto Group that we know about today. But that said, my reason my reason why is, as far as a part of that reason why, as far as wanting to live through this and to recover and get better, is to be able to have those porch visits. Does that make sense? To actually have a porch visit.
Yeah.
In order to do that, I have to be somewhat mobile. I have to have a good brain. I have to be able to talk and recall and really put words into sentences that make sense. And so I literally had a porch visit. Well, actually, it was a little chilly. It was inside with a person the other day who shall go unnamed, and I'm not even going to identify male or female. But we had this visit, and trying to talk about what it means to be a successful business person. And I get very emotional about that. And it's like, and I'm trying to give this advice that I know deep in my heart that I got from Mr. Hamilton, and just blew this person away. And so there you go.
Yeah.
Like that's it. And so I'm not doing this for the money. I'm not. It gets me very emotional. I'm not doing it for the money.
Yeah.
I'm doing it for the joy. It brings me great joy to meet somebody and talk to them, and they walk out the door. They come in, walking a certain way, and they walk out the door and they're on cloud nine. They're just on cloud nine because I just gave them this great insight that I have from years and years and years of expert counsel. And so that's it. So I knew when I started hearing, like, I'm not going to tell you that, so I should have died. I should have died. And I didn't have any, I didn't have any pearly gates of heaven. I didn't have any St. Peter. I didn't have any, Jim, you got to go back. I had none of that. I didn't. I'm not discrediting that. I'm not saying that that's wrong, but I didn't experience that. But what happened was I came to the next day, and the doctor came in and said, "You're amazing." I said, "What do you mean I'm amazing? I just woke up. What do you mean I'm amazing?" Kept saying that. Everybody I met in the hospital kept saying, "You're amazing. You're amazing. You're amazing." And it started to dawn on me that in their minds, I should have died. And as I started to ask questions, like, I should have died. And I was actually at an event for my grandson, Russell James, and my son, Russell James, as well, was there. And his name, they're both Russell James, and Ashley and William. And I ran into the neurologist. It's a husband and a wife team. And I would run into them. I said, "Hey, how you doing?" And they just were shocked. They said, "I can't believe you're doing this. I can't believe you're standing here. I can't believe you're talking like this. I just can't believe this. You're amazing." I'm like, "I'm really not. I'm not amazing. I'm just here." But I will say this. I am a miracle. I am a walking miracle. And so I have work to do. And that work I have to do is rethink you and mentoring. And Derek, you and I are going to do some mentoring today. And you have some questions for me about business. And I'm going to answer those questions to the best of my ability. So that's my purpose in life these days, is I feel very strongly that if I take the knowledge that I have to the grave with me without sharing it, I feel like I would be the most selfish person on the planet. I really believe that. And I almost did that. So I have work to do. Long answer to a short question, but I have work to do, brother. I do.
Yeah. Yeah. But you're also giving people hope. All those mentorship conversations, those porch meetings, you're giving people hope, right? Often you're saying people walk in with the sense of like they're walking a certain way, and they walk out with like, "Oh, wow, I'm not in this alone," right? I don't have to figure this out alone. Maybe they've drawn it out on their, iPad or on a big piece of paper to try to sketch it all out and get their whole brain out. And that's helpful. But you're saying, hey, here's years of expert counsel, not just from you, but from thousands of books you've read, from other people in the industry that you've spent time with, people smarter than you, smarter than me, right? That had insight that helped you. And so we really want to make sure that we're providing hope, not just a program that encourages people to figure out your why and go. We want to create people who know how to work hard, know how to execute, know how to bring more value to the hour. But more than that,
Yeah.
we want to inspire people with hope of don't quit, keep going, don't quit, keep going.
I'd be careful with that.
Mm-hmm.
Quitting is a very important move, strategically speaking.
Yes. Yes.
So I want you to think about this before you answer what I just said. Quitting is a really important thing to do. So now that I said that, which has everybody thinking, what is this guy talking about? You said don't quit. I say quit. What should you quit?
The bad actions.
Bad actions. So when you're looking at this thing that we're discussing here, sometimes the most intelligent move you can make is to quit. I didn't say quit on the goal. That's not what I said. But quitting is a really important strategic idea. So if we're doing, like, for example, should we start smoking? Should we persist with smoking? Or should we quit smoking? If we have an action that's producing a bad result, should we persist with it or should we quit doing it?
We should quit doing it.
Exactly. I had a conversation the other day with a good friend, and they made a statement, this person made a statement that persistence was the secret. And I said, no, 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 it's not. Persistence is not the secret because sometimes people persist with a bad strategy and they don't sit back and think about the results that they're achieving and the fact that they're not getting the results they want. It's not a time to persist. It's a time to reflect. If we have bad results, it is a time to reflect and to seek expert counsel. And we go to the expert counsel and we say, here's the things that I'm doing. And he or she says, no, 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 no. I did the same thing. I tried the same thing. That's not going to work. You need to stop doing that and you need to start doing this. And once you figure out what those things are that you should be doing based on expert counsel, now we persist with those things. But persisting with a bad strategy is just going to get you the same stuff. Results are the name of the game. Agreed or disagreed?
I agree. Yeah, I was thinking a lot for people who have gone through our program, just the value of giving them hope as they get a clear strategy, as they go through the strategic continuum, as they learn to do simple first, as they take time to do the discipline journaling. We're giving them the strategy, which gives them hope to move forward. So absolutely, the bad actions need to stop. And that's why I think the program that we teach is so valuable, because we go through strategically all the way at the top from the reason why to all the way at the bottom of you need to be surrounded by people that are moving in the same direction, right? You need to have a personal declaration of independence that you're confident about.
I can tell you that the first and most powerful move when you're in the strategic continuum and you're working on, moving towards your goals, the most powerful thing the best return on investment, the most powerful thing you can do is to quit certain things. That's the best thing you can do. Mm-hmm. And to start certain things. But it really is the quitting that arguably could be the most powerful. So, and I'll give you the example again. So I don't smoke, by the way, but let's assume I do. So I smoke 2 packs of cigarettes a day. But I heard that eating broccoli is really, really good for me, which it is, by the way. So because I'm in the strategic continuum, I've done Rethink You, and I want to be healthy, I'm going to start eating broccoli. So I'm going to eat broccoli 2 times a day, but I'm going to continue to smoke. What's more important, quitting smoking or eating broccoli?
I would say quitting smoking.
Bingo. There you go. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So we want to really take the time to look at the the list and compare it to expert counsel, and you'll find, as you like, if you study really hard, that people that are successful, Jim Rohn said, successful people leave clues. What are those clues? Unsuccessful people leave, fill in the blank.
Failure, right?
No, they leave clues. Successful people leave clues. That is your to-do list. Unsuccessful people leave clues. That is your to not do list. Now take me back to the strategic continuum, and you have the vision of it, and think about that. To not do list is very powerful within the strategic continuum. And as we move across the strategic continuum from bad actions to good actions, we're going to get more and more and more successful. But the secret to the whole thing is you got to stop doing certain things and you got to start doing certain things based on expert counsel. And so unsuccessful people always leave clues. And these are the things we want to make sure we're not doing. And what I found, by the way, back when I was bankruptcy imminent, I went to Mr. Hamilton and I told him I was lost. He was my dad's former partner. I told him I was lost, didn't know what I was doing. I said, I'd like to have a list of 10 things that I should be doing to be a successful automobile dealer. And he said to me, he said, James, he called me James. He said, let me think about that. He said, come back tomorrow morning, I'll have a list. So I got back the next morning and he has this list for me, neatly typed up, really, really cool. These are the things you need to do. And I started doing that list and the needle moved. And I kept doing it and the needle kept moving. And I kept going back for more stuff and the needle kept moving. And within that list of what to do, there was also stuff of what not to do. And so I started doing my to not do list on my to-do list. And that's what precipitated the Jim Shorkey Family Auto Group that we know today. And anybody here can Google it, look it up. I mean, when my father died, March 24th, 1996, it was one dealership, roughly 40, 50 employees. And now it's 20 dealerships, I think. I don't know. I think it's 20, but 20 dealerships and 1,000 employees. Well, something happened. And it's the strategic continuum. But back to that persistence idea, it's a really, really bad idea, potentially. It's a great idea if we have the right list, plural, list, L-I-S-T-S. It's a bad idea if we have the wrong list. So rather than persisting, we need to stop, sit down, reflect, get to expert counsel, buy a book, do a YouTube video, find a direct mentor, whatever the case may be, and figure out what you should be doing and what you should stop doing, and then persist with that. Make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. Makes a ton of sense.
That's what I'm doing right now, Derek.
Yeah. So what's on your what's the bad actions you're quitting after your, in your recovery process? Are there things you had to cut and get rid of?
I don't think so. That's one thing, so I was I was very dialed into the health and doing the right things relative to expert counsel. And so my thought was, oh, geez, that was a waste of time. And every one of my doctors said, thank goodness you did what you were doing, because look at you now.
Yeah.
So don't tell me it didn't work.
Right.
They told me that. Don't tell me it didn't work. It did work. You have a bad situation. It did happen. It is what it is. So there's really, it's more of a to-do. So a lot of physical movement. I literally move all day long in different respects. There's different ideas about that. A lot of walking. I do physical therapy. I did that today. A lot of balancing exercises. So it's there's a physical aspect to this thing that I'm doing. This is to-do. There's a mental aspect. So I do a lot of reading. I always did, but I'm really focusing on that now, and puzzles. Like I do a lot of Sudoku, and I have a stroke recovery book that I bought that gives me different ideas. And it's a puzzle book. You're engaging your brain, you're thinking. I'll give you probably my most powerful stroke recovery plan that I have is the porch visits.
Yeah.
It gives me a sense of purpose.
Wow.
It forces me to use my brain. It forces me to think. As I think, my brain. There's a process called neuroplasticity, and I'm engaging in it with speaking and talking and thinking and trying to recall, and so that's a big part of it. My diet is basically haven't changed a whole lot, but I'm very big into the medicinal mushrooms. This is not psilocybin, so don't misinterpret this. And by the way, this is not medical advice. Do not do what I'm doing. I'm just telling you you're asking me a question, I'm answering. So I'm big into the medicinal mushrooms. I'll give you some of them. One of them is chaga, which is the king of medicinal mushrooms. Reishi is the queen. Cordyceps, lion's mane, and there's several. And I do those with my coffee, which the coffee is supposedly is very good for the brain, for the neurology of the brain. So I do coffee. So far today, coffee, green tea. I do a concoction. I'm big into my concoctions of this drink involving electrolytes and uh, spirulina and brown algae and just these different things that I put. This is it right here, and I put all this stuff in or shake it up, and I drink it. So I think that what I ingest, what I put in my body, is very important. The physical movement is very important. These are to dos. The reading is a to do. The puzzles are a to do. The engaging, because you tend to, like, when you're sick and you're not feeling well, the tendency is to isolate. And so I've really had to work hard on not isolating. I'm, for example, doing this podcast right now. The porch visit the other day I told you about. This gives me a sense of purpose, and it's like the person that walks out of the door on cloud nine. It's like, that's pretty darn cool. But guess who walks in the door on cloud nine after the visit?
Yeah.
Who walks in the door? Me. So this is very good for my brain. So there's a lot of things that I'm doing that from research that are just really somewhat logical. It's not like I'm any particular genius, but I'm really kicking butt. I have 9 grandchildren, and if I die, I can't be a mentor to them.
Yeah, that's real. Yeah,
I can't. I have to live. I have to live, and I have to have my. I'm sorry, I'm getting emotional. Those grandchildren just get me in my heart.
yeah,
But I have to. I have a job to do. I have a responsibility to live. To not just live in terms of longevity, but to live while I'm living. To really live, and to be engaging, and to, I've got these old cars, which my one grandson Theo loves these old cars, and so when he comes over, he wants to look at these cars, and he. And these are old cars; they're classics. And he gets in the car, beeps the horn, loves it, and I don't. I love it. So that's a reason. That's a reason why. That's a reason to do the push-ups. That's a reason to do the readings and all that, all these different things. So you have to have reasons why that make you emotional, that make you cry, and I have them. And I want to do the mentoring. And if I'm not here, I can't do the mentoring, and that would be unfortunate, because I think the joy that I get out of it is not just the joy of doing it, but the joy of getting the results down the road. With somebody says, "I remember the day," and I have people in the world that'll say to me, "You changed my life." It's like, that's a big deal. That's emotional. Like, you changed my life. Like, I did? I didn't know that. Yeah, 10 years ago, we did this, that, and the other thing, and you changed my life. And from there, I went on and did this and that and the other thing. It's like, that's powerful stuff. So, do I have the ability to change people's lives going forward? Actually, no. Only they have that ability, but I can influence it. I can be a part of it, and it gives me great joy. So, can I be joyful at 80, joyful at 90, joyful at 100? Absolutely. And as I study and I've studied them very aggressively anyways, but still studying the Blue Zone people. I was talking to Amy the other night, and I said, what did you notice about those people? We were watching a video, Dan Buettner in the Blue Zones, and they're so happy. They're so happy. I said, look how happy they are. I want that. I want that. I want that.
Yeah. Me too. What do you see for next for results from thinking? Rethink you. I know people have asked, like, what's going on over the past year. I've updated folks with, hey, Jim had a stroke. We'll give an update soon. But what do you see from your perspective?
I see the butterfly effect. With Rethink You, we could be training the next president of the United States, or maybe downstream, maybe that person's friend or spouse, or children, whatever the case may be. We just don't know. We don't know how far the butterfly effect goes and what changes as it goes forward. So it's just it's being influential in a very, very positive way. So the person I had the porch visit with the other day, how do you know? Actually, it was an indoor visit because it was cold, but still, how do I know that 50 years from now, some person that person impacted on, but it was all because of that original visit that I had? I don't know. How would I know? I wouldn't know. So I see with Rethink You, I see impact, but we don't really know what the impact is. We just know that it's real.
Mm.
It's real. It's a real
Yeah.
thing, and we impact one person, and that one person impacts one person, and that one person impacts one person, and that one person impacts 1,000,000 people. Can you say definitively that that's not the case? So it was all one, 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 then 1,000,000. Can it go from 1 to 1,000,000? Well, if it's the president of the United States of America, yeah, it can. Absolutely can. So we don't know. We don't know what the impact is. But I just know, like I was saying about the 122, can't we at least try? Can't we try to impact that one person? Does that mean they have to go out and impact 1,000,000? Of course not. Of course not. Excuse me. My nose is running from the emotion. That is emotion. You're seeing
Yeah.
emotion
Yeah.
live right now. You're seeing it. You're seeing it.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. So last question, what's next for Jim Shorkey? What's next?
I've already answered that question, Derek. It's just moving forward. It is 122, which is at best it's a nebulous figure at best. It is 122. The only reason I picked 122 is because it's been done. That's the oldest documented living person in the world. Her name, I'm probably going to butcher the name, but her name is Jean Clamu, or similar to that. You can look it up. She's a French lady, and she lived to be 122. And so that has been my goal for years. And but there's another part to the goal that you and I added, which is 122 healthy, happy, terrific, relaxing years. 122 healthy, happy, terrific, relaxing years. And so that said, it's not about the 122, it's about the journey. And it's back to that butterfly effect. So I'm 66 years old right now today. I'll be 67 in January. And, none of us knows how many, I mean, certainly don't know how many years I have left on this planet. I can tell you this: on March the 6th of this year, it wasn't long. I was checking out. It wasn't long. So there you go. I mean, it wasn't long. But what am I going to do with this day? I was talking to you earlier, you and Jess, and I said, when you get up in the morning and you say to yourself, rise and shine, mean it. Mean it. So I'm going to rise. Okay, got that done. And I'm going to shine. So today I'm going to shine. I'm going to share my light with whoever I come in contact with. I'm going to shine. I'm going to shine today. And I'm going to keep doing that. And every once in a while I'll run into somebody and I'm shining. They say, well, can we sit down and talk someday? I say, yeah, let's do it. Let's sit down and talk. And then we sit down and talk and we have our conversation. They pick my brain. You're going to do that with me today. There you go. So if I give you some great information and we're going to do that, Derek, you and I are going to do that today. I don't know. And I don't know what you're going to do with it. You may do nothing, and that's okay too.
Yeah.
But I may give you 10 ideas. You may only do one of them. And we'd be like, oh, I didn't succeed. Yes, you did. It was the one thing you got from me, and it could be life-changing. And that's really what's next for Rethink You is, where do we find these impact points? You know what I mean? Where do we find him? And it's very emotional for me because, geez, thank goodness for Mr. Hamilton, because without Mr. Hamilton and what he did for me,
Yeah.
I wouldn't be talking to you right now. I wouldn't.
Yeah. Yeah.
It wouldn't happen. I wouldn't even have a story to tell. I'd have been gone. I was on my way out again. So I was on my way out physically in this dimension in March of this year, and in 1998, I was bankruptcy imminent. And without Mr. Hamilton and his sage advice, and the guy he was a great car dealer, and he just gave me that list, and I did the list. That's what we want to do with Rethink You, is to give people the list, the to-do list and the to not do list, by having conversations, by being cerebral, by thinking it through the whole way through, and challenging the different people to really challenge them. I'm famous for, what'd you say again? They say it, and I say, that's a bunch of bullshit. Why would you say that? That's just not true. Stop saying stuff like that. And they look at me like I'm crazy, but it's like, yeah, you're right, Jim. I have a good friend of mine. We've interviewed Omar, good friend of mine, and he and I were talking the other day, and he said something to me along those lines, and I said, "You're full of shit." He said, "You're full of shit, Omar." He says, "Dang you, Jim. You're right. I am. I know I am. Okay, let's fix that." So that's what we're going to do. We're going to impact on people. Omar Brooks, by the way, I don't say that to be disparaging. He is a wonderful man, PA Pet Vets, and he's been on the podcast, excuse me, and he's such a big heart. But I've given him some ideas, and here's one. I hooked up with Rod Little, and they do therapy dogs, and I talked to Rod, and we're actually going to meet. I joined his board of his nonprofit, and there's a great story. He's telling me about his nonprofit. I said, Rod, there's no such thing. He says, what do you mean? There's no such thing as a nonprofit. I said, that's the problem with nonprofits, is they run them around that mentality. Let me tell you something. If a nonprofit doesn't have profits, what happens, Derek?
There is no nonprofit.
So there you go. A nonprofit without profits withers away. What happens to the cause?
That doesn't fulfill its mission, that's for sure, because with all the nonprofits we've helped, it's, if they have no money, then they can't continue to serve the people they feel called to.
If you're not working on collecting money, by the way, the gross profit in a nonprofit will be the donations. You have to have donations. And I find so many people in these nonprofits, so it's like they're afraid to talk about money. Like I'll go to the dealership. I'm not involved anymore. But, oh, hey guys, let's not be too salesy today. Bull crap. We want to sell. That's what we want to do. And we want to do it the right way, of course. But we want to control our donations as maximum as we can, control our expenses as minimum as we can, generate a profit between the two, and use that to fund the mission. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes a ton of sense. Yeah.
You know the future Rethink You. I'm involved with Top Dog Therapy therapy training, and Rod Little, and what they're doing is, it's just amazing. And so you talk about the butterfly effect, the downstream effect. What happens when we get a therapy dog in the hands of somebody who's had some type of calamity in their life, whether it be a veteran with post-traumatic stress disorder, or a person that's these therapy dogs, they work with diabetes, all these different things. These therapy dogs, actually, Rod had a bad accident, was paralyzed, and his therapy dog was Sarge. And without Sarge, Rod may not make it, but he did. And so here we are.
Well, thank you, Jim.
My pleasure.
I love this.
I love you, brother. You know I love you, don't you?
Yeah, I love you too.